gets down in the racetrack better.
That's what happens this joint here, though. The longer you run, the more you start slipping and sliding, particularly right there across that tunnel turn.
Boy, Jeff Gordon, he is mired in a pack of traffic. We're watching from the Discover cart for Todd Bodine, and Gordon has been working the inside against this pack, and boy, he's wiggling around there, Darrell.
Boy, he is. That car just doesn't look very happy right now. He's going to make the pass because he had the good line there. Well, I don't know if he is or not, if he can pull up in front of the 30 car or not. Yeah, there you go.
Well, and Jeff Green in the 30 car, remember, he's 29 laps down after having the brake problem. I tell you, another car that was tore apart this morning, we're looking out at Jeremy Mayfield's car right here. He's sitting back there in 18th position. 2 of his career wins is here at Pocono, and they had a lot of confidence about this race car because this is the same car that Casey Atwood drove last year and had 2 good runs here, plus he ran 3rd at Homestead. So with Jeremy's talent here, they felt good about coming to Pocono, but they were struggling yesterday in practice.
You saw there Mayfield just didn't get the drive off turn 1, and they were 3 wide coming up on the tunnel turn, and he wisely backed out of it rather than go in there 3 abreast.
Larry, you ever run a rear sway bar here?
Absolutely. The only thing, you know, the rear stabilizer bar that helps increase the rear spring rate, and it will help the car turn off the corner. The only thing I didn't like about it, or the driver didn't like, is how bumpy it is in turn 1. That would seem to upset the car sometimes.
Yeah, well, I just heard that they unhooked the rear sway bar on that 24 car. That should tighten him up if he's fighting a loose condition.
Yes, it should, but I think that's also the reason. See how his car is not taking the bumps right. We see it in every corner. It's like the right rear is going up and down, and that means the tire's not staying in contact, and that's because unhooking the rear sway bar took rear spring rate away from the race car.
I didn't hear you say Poboing, did I?
No, Pogoing.
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 Okay.
That's a little bit like turkey walk.
Riding with Elliott Sadler, Jeff Gordon just ahead of him, and Robbie Gordon just ahead of him. Robbie Gordon, perhaps, well, it's hard yet to say whether he'll be adversely affected by the team change at Childress Racing. His crew chief, his whole team, almost, even the cars now are different. This is the first week of that change, almost a complete swap with Kevin Harvick, and Gordon had begun to show a lot of good runs, and now everything's new for him.
Yes, it has, and again, they did not swap all of the cars because, in fact, this particular car is the one that he won Loudon, New Hampshire with last November. We look at the battle here between Rusty Wallace and his ex-teammate Jeremy Mayfield in the 19th. This is a battle for 18th.
Mayfield has the line, and now he's got the room.
And he's got the run across the short chute.
Ward Burton back on track after a while in the garage.
You know, we talked about Casey Atwood, that 7 car. He had 2 good runs here last year, lost an engine, and he's up there battling those guys as well.
Riding with Atwood, and the 8 car, Dale Earnhardt Jr. trying to get himself back on track here. He's had an up and down day, and he's back up tonight. .127 of 200 laps complete. But there's Ward Burton, who has just come out of the garage and is getting back up to speed. Ricky Rudd leads his Robert Yates Ford Racing teammate Dale Jarrett by 0.4 of a second. Bill Elliott is 3rd. .130 laps, 325 miles of 500 complete here at Pocono. 200 laps make up the distance. Ricky Rudd and Dale Jarrett tracking the field, and they stay about 1.4 seconds ahead of Bill Elliott.
And you know, when we talk about week in and week out, we talk about horsepower and who makes the most steam under the hood, and we always talk about the 2 Yates cars. This is a place where horsepower, it is the king. Whoever's got the most power here, it usually shows up at Pocono because of these long straightaways, and you can use every bit of it.
3 long pulls per lap. And look at the wins that are represented among the top 5 drivers. 22 for Rudd, 28 for Jarrett, 41 for Elliott. Johnson's a rookie. 33 for Mark Martin. That's a lot of winning up there.
That's a lot of experience.
your runs, are you going back to third through the tunnel? Yeah, 10-4. I've been switching it up. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. Biggest thing is being in third going into 3 really keeps the car underneath, because I've been loose down there, and downshifting gets knocks me loose.
Well, what he's saying is when he has to make that shift, it changes the RPM of the engine, and it sounds like it's making the car get loose when he makes that shift. You hit these turns so fast and so hard, and you jam that thing in another gear, it'll actually make the back tires try to lock up, almost like they got too much rear brake. It causes the car to jump out from under you.
Matt Kenseth is back in the race. He came to Dover second in points, left there fourth in the standings, and now he is 39 laps down in 38th place. Need to gain a few more before this one's over.
Yeah, cut a tire down last week at Dover, and that just did his day in, and then a mechanical failure here, so he's backing up in a hurry.
I tell you guys, one thing I will say about this racetrack today, 133 laps, our guys from the pits, they keep feeding us track temperature. It's really not changed that much. It started off 113 degrees. It's still at about 113 or 14 degrees. So really the track conditions staying pretty consistent so far.
Yeah, it's actually, you know, it's not overcast, but it's certainly a lot of big white puffy clouds up there that kind of keep the sun from just beaming down on the racetrack.
Ricky Craven looking for a run on Tony Stewart. This is for 7th place, about 8.5 seconds behind the leader.
And Larry, I don't know if you found this to be true or not, but as you get on into the summer months and the tracks get hotter and the tracks get slicker, you've got to be able to change your setup to accommodate for that. When the tracks are green, just like this place was when you first come here, you can run that great big sway bar because you get a lot of grip, and that sway bar will make the car run nice and flat. But when this track gets hot and slick, you got to start backing off that sway bar and changing the spring combination a little bit.
You know, guys, the car that had a good run last week at Dover finished 9th. Bobby Hamilton in the 55 car. He started back in 26, and he's up there in the top 15. I talked to Jimmy Elledge. He told me, Larry, this was the car we ran at Fontana, Texas. This car was terrible. We rebodied it. We didn't test it, but I had it in the wind tunnel a few nights ago. It was pretty good, and he's kind of backing it up here. But, you know, in 21 Pocono starts, he only has 2 top 10 finishes. This place not been that good to Bobby Hamilton.
Yeah, but you know what I think happened to Bobby and them when Jimmy left? I think they got a little bit behind. And I think Jimmy's gotten back in there now. He's getting cars, you know, rebodying cars, catching them back up, and it's showing in their performance.
Of course, Jimmy Elledge was his crew chief last year. They won Talladega at the beginning of the year. Jimmy Elledge goes to the 88 car with Dale Jarrett. A few weeks ago, he leaves there, and now he's back what he calls back home.
To Hamilton in 14th. Meanwhile, Jimmy Johnson in 4th place, closing up on Bill Elliott for 3rd. There's Rudd, Jarrett, Elliott, Johnson, your front 4. Behind that, Mark Martin, Sterling Marlin, Tony Stewart, and here's Ricky Craven feeling the heat from Jeff Burton for 8th place.
It's like Burton's getting his act together too, Larry. You know, last week had a pretty decent run there at Dover, and today's, you know, hanging in the top 10. That's a big improvement for that team over what they were doing.
Yeah, and I think and I talked to Frank Stoddard this morning. He said, Larry, we've come so far. He said, everybody thinks we have a bunch more power. Everybody thinks we're handling better. But he said our aero packages, and this is another brand new race car. And when you look at it, it looks like it should be a good race car.
Ricky Rudd and Dale Jarrett 0.8 of a second apart. Rudd, the defending champion of this race, with 2 third places, his best of 2002.
Sold at a place called Miller Time.
For Ricky Rudd's team, this must be some sort of redemption. They were in position to win last week at Dover, had a miscue on their final pit stop, and ended up 17th. But right here, the defending champion of the Pocono 500 is out front of Dale Jarrett by 1.1 seconds. They've been flawless in the pits and on the track so far.
Yeah, they really have, and that just tells you that, you know, we got pit stops coming up here, probably going to be green flag. Can't have any errors, and I'm sure that'll be on their mind.
Dick Berggren.
Well, the fuel consumption calculators are flying here in the pit area, Mike. The 2 Rickies, Rudd and Craven, both are going to need 2 pit stops for fuel. They can't make it on just 1 more. Ernie Elliott, who built the engine under the hood of Sterling Marlin's car, said it's all going to depend on how hard he bashes the gas. If Sterling uses a lot of throttle, he's going to need 2 stops. If not, maybe he can make it on 1.
Yeah, I mean, what I'm seeing, guys, is all the leaders were on pit road at lap 117. That's 83 laps to go. That means they would have to run 41 and 42 laps. And Jeff Hammond, the only car I've seen so far earlier in the race that could do that, now he's back in 16th position, is Elliott Sadler in the 21 car.
Larry, hit the nail right on the head, buddy. 21 car, along maybe with the 36 and the 45 of Kyle Petty, might be able to get that far because they came in just before we went back and restarted on lap 120. You're going to have to stretch the fuel mileage at least 40 laps. Somebody does to be able to go the distance. And these three cars are the only ones I've seen so far that might be able to do it. Everybody else is going to come up somewhere between 4 and 6 laps short.
I don't know, guys. I think what you'll find, that these guys will get to that window to where they can make it on one more stop. I think they're probably telling their drivers, you know, we've got a fuel issue, which we knew we would have. Save a little fuel here. Run the thing in overdrive if you have to. Keep the RPM down. Don't jump in and out of the throttle. And I think they can make it on one more stop.
So Rudd and Jarrett lead. Johnson second. Johnson third. Elliott fourth. And Mark Martin is 8 seconds off the lead in fifth. Matt?
Well, Mike, Jack Roush, known as the gas fuel mileage miser. Ben Leslie cruising on the 6th. Can you guys make it on one more stop, Ben? How close are you going to be?
Well, we don't really know. It's kind of going to be a gamble. We're trying to decide whether we want to take it or not. You know, the Viagra Ford has been running good all day. These guys have done a great job in the pits for us and everything. Mark's done a whale of a job driving for us. We're crunching the numbers pretty hard. It's close. It'll be just whether we want to roll the dice or not.
Mark Martin had never won the Coca-Cola 600. He finally won it this year in this race car. He's never won here at Pocono. Second 3 times. Maybe today will be the day, but the calculator may have the answer.
Mike Skinner off the pace.
Yeah, something happened over across the tunnel. Looks like the right side's torn up.
You know, the thing about looking at Mark Martin there, the 6 car just a second ago, is see Mike Skinner trying to get to pit road, is the fact other than Elliott Sadler, he ran the furthest of anybody in the earlier green flag run. And just remember, Elliott Sadler, the 21, Mark Martin, the 6, both used Roush engines. Watch Mike Skinner here slide.
Yeah, he got it up in the fence there. He just got in there a little hard over the tunnel. Lost the back end, slapped it up against the fence.
It's pretty hard lick. He makes it to pit road, though. A lot of damage on that right side. I'd say possibly like Kurt Busch, bent trailing arms, bent rear end housing. He's going to go straight to the garage area.
Darrell, you know from running here at Pocono, the best way you can save fuel is you say get it down overdrive. We've already noticed, because where the Hollywood Hotel is located, that Mark Martin and several other cars are getting in that overdrive quicker off of turn 3 than earlier in the day. Instead of carrying down about the start-finish line, you're just getting up out of the corner and getting back in the overdrive really quick to try to conserve fuel.
Yeah, that's what you do, Jeff. I mean, and it doesn't hurt your lap times at all. You come off turn 3 down there, and as soon as you get up on the straightaway, instead of running all the way down to the start line, you just pull her back into the overdrive. It takes 2 or 3, even 400 RPM out of that engine. Easy on that throttle. Push it down real easy, and that's how you save fuel here.
Take it off. Make sure you get that on your tires.
These guys can make it. I guarantee you, there's a lot of them that can make it on one more stop.
Just saw Elliott Sadler go by Robbie Gordon, and that was a battle for 15th. I think Robbie Gordon in the 31, he had some little problem. Must have got out of the groove a while ago there. You see he's going to lose another position, possibly to Jeremy Mayfield in the 19 car.
I think that's what happened, Larry, as he got up into the